Kayla, lovely to see you. Great to see you in London, 10 years on from the Olympics. Up on that stage with Claressa Shields as well, who also won gold. What do you remember about a 17-year-old Claressa Shields in 2012?
I mean, I'll never forget it. You know, I met her right as we're walking out for the opening ceremonies. And it was my first Olympics, her first Olympics. And you're there, you know, the basketball stars, you're in a village full of 10,000 of the world's greatest athletes. And she was this star. She was this light, you know. She was like young and sort of like, naive is not the right word, but like just doe-eyed, you know. But she was like still so confident. I'm gonna win. You know, I'm about to win the Olympics, like, remember my name. And I was like, I'm gonna win it too. And then we took a picture together, but I'll never forget it. She was like, even amongst the biggest stars in the sports world, she was a star.
So 10 years on, she's a double Olympic champion. She's done so much in boxing. She's now coming into MMA. Has she changed much, or do you still see some of that same person you remember?
No, she's still... I mean, I think she's gotten older, you know, wiser. With all of that life experience comes some wisdom. But she stayed true to who she is.
You're still relatively young to MMA, right? I mean, 4 years in as a professional.
Baby. You can say I'm a toddler now.
You're a toddler. You're still kind of walking, but
I'm walking, not running.
No. Are you still making kind of big jumps, big improvements in training? Do you see stuff still?
Yeah. It's hard to see it when you're in it, but if I go back and I look at my sparring from a year ago to now, or if I sit down with my coaches and we review things and we look at how far I've come, it's pretty cool. Like, you know, now I'm sparring with guys like Pedro Munoz, who's top 5 in the world, and I'm doing good. Like, it's good. It's amazing for me, and I love it. You know, I get to go to work every day, and I'm so happy. I'm so jacked up. I love what I do. I love the people I work with. I can't believe that I get paid to do this still. Sometimes I'm like, is this really my life? Like, these people haven't figured out that they don't have to pay me yet. Yeah, it's a good life.
You mentioned Pedro there, and you know all the guys down at ATT. I mean, you have got the unofficial role, I believe. It's still unofficial.
It's not unofficial.
No,
I have a captain jacket.
Formalized captain.
It's formalized.
I
just kept saying it until they all agreed. So.
Persistent, right? It works. Who's the hardest person to kind of keep an eye on, look after down there?
Who's the biggest troublemaker is what you want to know.
That's what I meant,
yeah. I mean, probably Masvidal. Jorge is a bit of a... We have to have a lot of talks. We have to have a lot of come-to-Jesus moments.
Does he listen?
No. I mean, he gets mad at me. He's like, I helped start this gym. When Dan dies, I'm taking over this gym. And I'm like, he already put it in his will to me. So you really think he's going to leave you in charge? You're like, I don't even know if you know how to brush your hair. Like, what are we talking about? No, he's great. He's great.
Let's talk about the PFL. I mean, the two-time champion. Are you satisfied to keep fighting in this league, to keep winning, to keep being the champion? And if fights with guys from other organizations never happen, are you content that you can still prove to yourself that you're the number 1 in the world?
No, I mean, I think that was part of the reason I tested free agency. It wasn't anything against the PFL. I do love the PFL. I love the format. I believe in the system. I believe that this is the future of MMA. But I do feel like I have to test myself against the best while they're the best. I can't get to where I want to be personally if I don't do that. So, no, I don't think that I can continue to do this if it's just the same, you know, if it's, and not that they're not amazing athletes in the division, not that there aren't, every fight is tough until you win. So I'm not discrediting anyone here. But this will be my last season with the PFL, and then we're going to branch over into some pay-per-view, cross-promotion. I don't know. They've got all kinds of things worked out because they believe in me, and I believe in them, and we're going to say, hey, let's put your champ up against our champ. Let's see who wins.
Is that the solution for you? 2023, the pay-per-view model comes in, and you can entice some of these guys over?
Yes. I think that, yes. I think that that's what it's going to be. You know, I have to focus on this season. I have 3 more hard fights to get to where I want to go. And none of that happens if I fumble the ball here. So I have to stay focused. I have to stay prepared. But yeah, I expect big things next year.
I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you. Overnight, UFC and Bellator both fold. They no longer exist. Pete comes to you and said, look, we've got a pot of money here to bring one fighter over for you to compete against, for you to prove you're the number one. Who do you want to go after?
Amanda?
Still Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she's done things in this sport that not many have. You know, obviously Cyborg is a legend as well and a great fighter, but Amanda's still in her prime, and you look at the people she beat when she beat them, she's the GOAT, you know? And it's not a knock on Cyborg, it's not a knock on Amanda. You know, the greatest compliment I can give to either one of them is that I want to fight them. And I do, I want to fight them.
There were comments recently by Cyborg's manager that no one would be interested in a fight between you two. I mean, how do you make sense of that?
I mean, to each their own. It's everyone is allowed to have their own opinion. I accepted a fight. I accepted a fight with her. I was going to fight her, you know, on April 22nd or whatever, and the PFL said, not so fast, we love you too much, you're going to stay here. And I'm happy about that. I love the PFL. And now they've told me that they're going to do everything in their power. She's about to be a free agent, so if she wants to fight, she knows where I am. I was ready to fight her. Let's see if she's ready to do the same.
But in the meantime, as you say, you've got some
got
very important fights
because
none of this makes sense if you lose, right?
Right. That's the whole thing, right? Like, you're only as good as your last fight. You're only as good as your last win, and I have work to do this year. There's no such thing as an easy fight. There's a lot of veterans in the sport in my division, and there's a lot of young up-and-coming fighters in the tournament. So, and like Rory said, the season is grueling. It's not easy. You know, 4 fights in 5.5 months is not most champions don't fight twice a year. You know, so it's not easy. But I'm prepared. Yeah. I'm built for it.
Will you be relieved end of this season? You finish as the champion and you don't have to do that sort of schedule anymore?
Yeah, probably a little bit. I'm not getting any younger, you know? Like, the body doesn't feel the same when you get out of bed at 31. So, yeah, probably I'll be like, it'll be nice to maybe... It's also tough because it's what I'm used to. You know, I come from the Olympic background. In judo, there's no season. You just compete. So it's what I'm used to, but it's also taken its toll. And I think I'm getting to the point where I have enough experience that I don't have to fight, you know, 4 times in a year in order to feel comfortable. I feel comfortable in a cage now. I'm a fighter. I'm not a judo player in a cage. I'm a fighter.
Amanda and Julianna scheduled to fight again. Yep. Does Amanda get that one back?
I think so. You know, obviously she's not training at ATT anymore, so I'm not a part of the camp. I don't get to see what she's doing day in and day out. But if Amanda shows up with her head on, I mean, I think it's an easy night for her.